Good day everyone and welcome to another video presentation for our class. So for now, before we proceed with our main lesson or main topic for this video, I just want to clarify some things that was discussed on our previous video recordings. So we have here the Pnp Organizational Structure. So if you are going to take a look on the date, on the top portion you can see here says here as of March 2018. Okay, so that this is the one that was presented in our previous video recording. Okay, and as we have mentioned, also the newest or the latest operational unit that was added are the PNP EOD or the K9 group, and then the PNP Drug Enforcement group, and then we have here the Crime Laboratory. So those are the three current or latest operational support units that was added, and we've mentioned that it is composed already of 14 operational units. Okay, but as to the newest, okay, we were able to find out that it is not that 2018 version is already obsolete. Okay, so we have here the newest. It says here as of September 2020. This was taken on the PNP website, wherein it says here the operational units is not only composed of 14 already, but it is composed of 15. Okay, so if you are going to look at it, the thing or the one that was added here is the Integrity Monitoring Enforcement Group. Okay, so take note, as of September, okay, as of March 2018, it is 14, but take note, we have here the latest. So this is the one that we are going to follow. So as of September 2020, so it is composed of 15 operational units. Okay, and the one that is added, the Integrity Monitoring and Enforcement Group. So Integrity Monitoring and Enforcement Group, they are in charge of counterintelligence. Or counterintelligence of what? Okay, because we have here intelligence group already. So why do we need to create another operational support units for PNP? For counterintelligence, because intelligence group, they are also conducting counterintelligence. Okay, so just to differentiate their nature, or the nature of their job or function, is that Integrity Monitoring and Enforcement Group is focused more on the PNP administration or the PNP itself, inside the PNP. Counterintelligence, okay, maybe the target is the PNP personnels. Okay, so simply this is an operational unit for, or purposely for, cleansing, okay, the PNP organization. Okay, and for the intelligence group, this one, it is focused on the criminals or on criminal activities. Okay, so that is the difference between those two. And take note, we have here already 15. Okay, 15 operational units. So I hope that is clear, and I hope that is saved also. So with that, maybe we could proceed already with the main lesson or the main chapter that we are going to discuss in this video. Okay, so in chapter 2, we have here the law enforcement operations. So let us try to discuss them one by one. So we have here first, okay, under law enforcement operations, there are of course service. Okay, there is what we so called a service of warrant of arrest and search warrant. Okay, so maybe this will serve as an additional or maybe a reminder or review for you, because I think you were able to discuss some of these or about service of warrant of arrest and search warrant on your law subjects. Okay, so as of now, we have here, let us try to discuss first what is warrant of arrest. Okay, so take note that warrant of arrest is a written authority. So there is no such thing that as oral authority or oral warrant. Orally ordered warrant of arrest. Okay, there is no such thing as that. So it is clear in here that it is a written authority. And who issues it? Okay, so it is issued to the arresting officer, or maybe a peace officer or police officer. Okay, and who issued it again? it is issued by the, of course, by the court. Okay, so hindi ang police officer ang nag-i-issue ng warrant of arrest. So it is issued by the court upon proper request by the the arresting officer, or maybe the PNP or the police office. Okay, so anong gagawin? So they are going to take, okay, they are ordered to take a person into a custody. Okay, so why? Okay, because maybe that person has, or he needs to bound or to answer, okay, answer regarding commission of a crime. Okay, so with that, that is simply a definition that we could give under warrant of arrest. And of course, we have here the lifespan. Okay, somewhat the lifespan of the warrant of arrest. Okay, so it says here for the once, okay, that was the warrant of arrest was received by the head of office, say, or the unit, okay, whom the warrant of arrest has been delivered for implementation. So anong gagawin ni head of office once the warrant of arrest is received, approved, and issued by the court? So with that, it should be needed to be implemented within 10 days from receipt. So maghahanap na siya ng police officer na na uutusan niya na mag-aresto dun sa tao na nandun or nakapangalan dun sa warrant of arrest. Okay, so take note, within 10 days. And of course, after that, within 10 days, okay, the police officer should receive already that warrant of arrest. Okay, whom it was assigned for implementation. The police officer whom it was assigned for implementation shall make a report to the judge who issued the warrant. Okay, so within 10 days pa rin yan. Okay, and in case of his failure to implement the same, parehas pa rin, he should need to report, okay, to the judge who issued the warrant, okay, about the reason why he was not able to implement the warrant of arrest in that lifespan. Okay, so just take note, 10 days yung given period, okay, for the warrant of arrest, but it can be extended upon reporting of the police officer to the judge with a reason, and then it can be granted by the judge, or he can grant another extension, okay, for the implementation of the warrant of arrest. Okay, and we have here the general guidelines for warrant of arrest. Okay, kasi hindi basta-basta ang nag-i-issue ang judge or ang court ng warrant of arrest. Kasi if there are illegalities in the acquisition, okay, if there are illegalities on the acquisition of the warrant of arrest, tendency that is a technicality in the dismissal of a case. Okay, so be careful if you are a police officer. If you became a police officer in the future, you should need to take a look or observe these guidelines in the warrant of arrest. Okay, so we have here, all arrests should be made only on the basis of a valid warrant of arrest. Take note of the valid. Okay, valid, it should be really, okay, it should be true that it was given by a judge or court, hindi lang gawa-gawa ito. Okay, so siya yung sinasabi nating competent authority, the judge, okay, or the court itself. And except in instances where the laws allows warrantless arrest. So later on, we will be having here the so-called warrantless arrest. So what are the instances? Kasi in every rule or in every guidelines, merong exception dyan. So tignan natin later on what are the things or what are those situation wherein warrantless arrest can be enforced. So another guideline that we should take a look in here is that no violence, take note of it, no violence or unnecessary force shall be used in making the arrest. Okay, so take note of it. Okay, kasi marami nang nai-issue dito or nasasabing police brutality because palaging merong violence. Okay, kasi sometimes, in reality, mahirap talaga na sabihin na walang violence kapag tayo mga arrest. Most of the time kasi nanlalaban ang mga victim, but the suspect or the person who will be arrested. So as much as possible, there should be no violence. That's why we have here the trainings for the PNP personnel, self-defense tactics, disarming techniques. That is to implement or to make sure that there is no unnecessary force, or as much as possible, no violence is being implemented to that to those person. Okay? And the person to be arrested shall not be subjected to any greater restraint, okay, than what is necessary under the circumstances. So, no greater restraint. So, hindi ibig sabihin yan na pwede mong gawin lahat. So, I mean, hindi porket ikaw ay nabigyan ng warrant of arrest, and then ikaw yung mag-i-implement niyan, hindi porket ganon, ay pwede mo nang gawin ang kahit anong gusto mo sa taong aarestuhin mo. So, katulad na lang sang sasakalin mo hanggang siya sa hindi makahinga. Okay? Be careful of that kasi you might be accused of police brutality. Okay? Unless there is really a violence that was being also used by the person that is being arrested, then maybe you could only use necessary force, okay, not unnecessary, because we have here the so-called degree of force also in law enforcement. So at first, okay, you try first to have your oral, okay, just to say, you voice out only your command, okay, but yun nga, parang hindi pa rin siya sumusunod, then that's the time you can apply minimum pressure, okay, or minimum force against that person, okay. Pero pag armado na yan, then maybe you could use necessary violence also. So maybe you can use takedowns, or if not takedowns, then maybe you can use also your firearm just to implement that, okay. So, but as much as possible, no violence and unnecessary force should be used. Take note of that. Okay? And of course, we have here as a general rule, arrest can be made on any day, okay, of the week. Take note, any day of the week. So, Monday man yan, okay, hanggang linggo, that is still okay. And at any time of the day or night. So, kahit gabi pa man, or araw. Okay, so that is the general rule in the implementation of arrest. Okay, and we have here next, only judges are authorized to issue warrant of arrest, as I've mentioned a while ago. And another one, a warrant of arrest is no longer needed if accused is already under detention. Okay, so nahuli na yung suspect. Okay, sabihin natin in flagrante delicto, nahuli na siya, or upon commission of the crime na huli na ng mga police officer natin yung tao na yun. Okay? So, with that, there is no longer, warrant of arrest is no longer needed, okay, for that. And ano na lang ang kailangan? An order of commitment is issued by the judge in lieu of the warrant of arrest. So, commitment, okay? Order of commitment already. That is ito yung hinahanap naman sa mga jail, okay? Order of commitment that was issued by the judge, yan yung hinahanap para i-detain nila ang isang suspect. So, hindi pwede na basta-basta na lang silang tatanggap ng mga tao na i-detain, okay? Pinupunta ni police officer din and i-detain nila agad, no. So, they should take a look, kinakailangan nila itong order of commitment for them to receive that person and then i-detain nila sa jails. Okay? And then we have here the persons who are immune from arrest. So, meron po talagang tao na hindi pwedeng hulihin. So, it says here, a senator or the member of the House of the Representatives. So, sino ang mga to? So, okay. So, sino yung klarong-klaro naman nito? Senators. So, marami na kayong kilalang senators. So, hindi sila pwedeng hulihin. Okay? And of course, we have here the member of the House of the Representatives. So, sino ang mga to? Sila yung mga congressmen. Okay? Congressmen natin. So, hindi rin sila pwedeng hulihin, especially when or while the Congress is in session. Okay? For an offense punishable by not more than 6 years of imprisonment. Take note of the condition. Okay? So, it says here, in general rule, okay, the Congress is in session. Okay, Congress is in session. But if the Congress is not in session, then they can be arrested. Okay, so with that, meron pang isang condition dito. Sabi, an offense punishable by not more than 6 years of imprisonment. So, ibig sabihin kapag lalagpas yan ng more than 6 years or lalagpas yan ng 6 years, then you can arrest a member of the House of Representatives or a senator. An example of crimes that are punishable by more than 6 years, then that could be murder. Okay, murder, aside from murder, homicide. Okay, more than 6 years. Those are crimes punishable by more than 6 years. So those are only some sample. But as a general rule, senator or member of the House of Representatives, while in Congress is in session, they cannot be arrested. Okay, and we have here immune from arrest also the diplomatic agents under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, because we are also part of the Vienna Convention. So we have here an agreement. Okay, we have there an agreement that diplomatic agents who are visiting or who are in that who are having a business, okay, or maybe having an appointment in that member country, they cannot arrest them. Okay, they are immune from arrest, diplomatic agents. So that is the condition with that. I mean on that or in that convention. So bakit kaya ganon? Take note, sometimes these things or these circumstances, if let's say a diplomatic agents of a certain country and then he was arrested by let's say another country, okay? So sabihin natin merong diplomatic agent na dumalaw sa atin dito sa Pilipinas or nandito sa Pilipinas. Okay? And then siya ay nag-commit ng crime. Sabihin natin he is believed to have committed a crime here in the Philippines. And then we arrested him. Okay? So that is already a violation of the Vienna Convention as mentioned in here. And another tendency or another effect of that, kapag inaresto natin, that could cause maybe bad image, okay, or let's say that could cause a conflict with that certain country. Philippines, okay, in that certain country, magkukos yan ng away, okay, or magkukos yan ng konting away until such time baka maging gera na yan. Okay, so that is the reason maybe they are having or we have this kind of condition that they are immune from arrest. Okay, and we have here the warrantless arrest. Okay, or when may a person or a police officer. Okay, when may a police officer, or in other words, pwede rin dito kasi yung civilian. Okay, not only a police officer. So when may a police officer or a private person can arrest a person without a warrant. So as stated in Rule 113, Section 5. So take note, itong warrantless arrest, tinatawag din po itong tinatawag ding citizen's arrest. Okay? Citizen's arrest or warrantless arrest. Parehas lang po yan. Okay? So, kailan nga ba? So, first, says here, under Criminal Procedure Rule 113, Section 5, it says, when in his presence. So, sino yung tinutukoy nito? In his presence. So, tinutukoy niyan, the police officer, or it could be a private person. Okay? The person to be arrested has committed, is actually committing, okay, or is attempting to commit. Take note, this is has committed or has just committed, or in flagrante delicto, caught in the act, okay, to commit an offense, it says here. So, that's the time you can arrest a person without a warrant. Alangan naman kasi na the person is actually committing the crime, hindi mo huliin kasi kailangan mong kumuha muna ng warrant of arrest. So, yan po ay katangahan. Okay, so that is considered already or that is under warrantless of arrest. So, pwede na ninyong huliin. Ikaw man ay citizen, pwede mong huliin kung kaya mo. Okay? So, of course, the police officer, meron din silang guidelines in arresting a a person without a warrant. Okay? In arresting a person. So, protocol pa rin. Okay? Identify yourself. Okay? And then inform him why are you arresting him, and then inform him about his Miranda rights. Okay? So, that is the first situation wherein you can arrest a person without a warrant. Another situation, when an offense has just been committed, he has probable cause to believe, based on personal knowledge of facts or circumstances, that person to be arrested has committed it. Okay, take note of it. Has just committed. Okay? And he has probable cause talaga na yung taong huhulihin niya is gumawa ng kasalanan. So, example, a situation. So, sabihin natin, sa palengke, ikaw ay nagro-ronda. You are a police officer and then doon ka naka-deploy. And then suddenly, merong lumapit sa iyo na isang ale. Sabihin natin, isang babae. Okay, and then sinasabi niya siya ay nadukutan. Okay, sinasabi niya, yung bag in-snatch. Then sumisigaw siya, then nagsumbong siya sa'yo, and then tinuturo niya yung tumatakbong lalaki. Then nakita mo yung tumatakbong lalaki merong daladalang bag, okay, na umaayon dun sa sinasabi ng babae. So that could cause, makikita mo yung element just been committed. Okay, there is crime of robbery that has just been committed. And then probable cause, nakikita mo talagang meron niyang bag. Okay, na merong lalaking tumatakbo and then nakikita mo may dala-dala siyang bag. Okay? Na katulad ng sinasabi ng babae. So that could cause, or that could be classified also here, or pasok siya dito sa letter B. So you can arrest that person. You can go and arrest that person. So hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon may lalapit sa inyo. Pag kayo ay naging police officer in the future, lahat ba ng taong lalapit sa inyo na sasabihin, hulihin mo si ganto kasi kinuha yung gamit ko? Wala ka namang probable cause based on your personal knowledge. Wala ka naman. Sabihin natin, merong lumapit sa yung babae, palitan natin yung situation. Then sinasabi niya, ninakawan siya. Okay? Ninakawan siya ng bag. And then nakita mo, tinuturo niya yung lalaking nakaupo. Okay? Nakaupo sa gilid, parang wala namang ginagawang masama. Okay? Are you going to arrest that person? Okay? Dahil sa sinabi ng babae. Okay, so with that is another situation. So you should consider probable cause. Okay? Hindi basta-basta huliin ang isang tao. Okay? So that is under letter B. And we have here letter C, when the person to be arrested is a prisoner. Okay? Natural lang. Okay? Prisoner na tumakas. So, pwede nyo silang huliin. Okay? Prisoner na tumakas. Okay? Kahit pa-detainee siya. Okay? Habang inaantay yung judgment. Okay? Habang inaantay na yung judgment, so those are detainees. So, kahit pa-detainees yan or prisoner, kapag sila ay tumakas dun sa temporary confinement nila, then you can arrest that person even though kahit walang warrant of arrest. Okay? And we have here the next one, where the accused released on bail attempts. Ito naman yung mga nagpiyansa. Kasi sa pagpapiyansa or bail, merong conditions yan. So, hindi pwede, isa sa mga conditions niyan ay hindi pwedeng umalis ng bansa. Okay? Dito sa Pilipinas. So, pinagbabawal yan kapag ikaw ay under bail. Okay? So, kapag yan, the person attempts to leave the country without court permission, okay, so pwede mong arrestuhin kahit pang walang warrant of arrest yan. So take note, there should be a court permission kapag siya ay aalis if that person is on bail. Okay? And we have here letter E, violation of conditional pardon. Okay? Kasi sa pardon, yes, palalayain ka, pero merong mga conditions. So, if you violated some conditions of the pardon, then you can be arrested by a police officer, and then you could be brought back to the jail. Okay? So, we have here, the next one is letter F. Arrest following a deportation proceeding by the Immigration Commissioner against illegal and undesirable aliens. Okay? So, ito naman yung mga illegal na pumasok sa ating lugar. I mean, territories. So, if we were able to find out, or if the police officer were able to find out that certain person has illegally entered our country, then he could be considered, or he could he violated, of course, our law here. Then we can arrest him. But there, take note, you should follow the deportation proceeding. So, ingatan nyo din. Okay? And take note, some of that kasi, lalong-lalo na kapag involved ang races or different, let's say, different races, okay, we should take a look that we should follow deportation proceedings. So, tendency niyan, kapag we violated, we abuse a certain person coming from other races, that could cause conflicts between different countries. Okay? And then, until such time, maybe it could cause war. Okay? So, we should be careful on the guidelines that we should, on the guidelines that we are following. Okay? So, if you are going to take a look, okay, so from letter D, okay, so usually from A to C, A, B, and C situations, citizen can arrest person without a warrant of arrest with this kind of with these three situations. But as of this letter D, letter E, letter F, it is only applicable to police officers. Okay, so letter D to F. Okay, it is a situation that is only applicable for a police officer. But as to A to C, that could be applicable for a citizen or civilian. Okay, so those are the rules that are under Rule 113 of Section 5. Okay, especially the three that was mentioned from A to C. Okay, yun yung nakalagay talaga sa Rule 113 Section 5 ng Criminal Procedure. Pero dito sa Police Operational Manual 2013 ng PNP, naka-add dyan yung tatlo na nandito na present natin, which is letter D to F. Okay? So, with that, we have here the requisites for the issuance of a search warrant naman. So, search warrant, of course, it is we are not referring to a person, okay, to be taken into custody, but we are referring to a particular thing, okay, particular thing that needed to be recovered. Okay, maybe it is a subject, or it was used in a commission of a crime. So, with that, meron po tayong requisites, okay, in issuance of search warrants. Sino ang nag-i-issue nito? Parehas pa din, the court or a judge, okay, the judge. So, it should be only, again, issued upon probable cause in connection with one specific offense. With one specific offense. Take note of that. Okay? To be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant. Just take note. Take note, it is issued by the judge and examined personally. So, examinin niya muna, hindi siya basta bigay ng bigay. Okay, and then ano yung magiging basis niya? Okay, yung evidences na present or yung report na present ng maybe the police officer who are applying or who are acquiring warrant or search warrant. Okay, and then maybe the witnesses that he can present. So with that, another requisite of a search warrant, it should describe the place, okay, to be searched. Okay, place to be searched and the things to be seized. Okay? So, place to be searched, may lagay mo doon, and then the things to be seized. Okay? So, take note, within the Philippines only. Anywhere in the Philippines. So, we cannot issue a search warrant outside, okay? Or describing a place outside the Philippines. Okay? And then we have here properties that may be subject or objects of a search warrant. So, nandito, number 1 is properties which are subject of the offense. Take note of that. So, pwedeng barel, okay, kutsilyo, ano pa ba? Mga tools na ginamit sa pag-commit ng crime and others. We have here stolen. Okay, embezzled proceeds and fruits of the offense. Katulad ng money, pera. Katulad ng droga. Okay, and katulad ng nakaw na machines or gadgets and others. And then we have here objects including weapons, equipment, and other items used or intended to be used as a means of committing an offense. Katulad na lang sa paggawa ng pekeng pera, mga machines na ginagamit nila doon. And then paggawa ng droga, okay, yung mga machines or equipment na ginagamit nila doon. So those could be some of the objects that could be included or that could be specified in a search warrant. So meron tayong exceptions dito. Objects that are illegal per se. Okay, even if it is not particularly described in the search warrant, they can be seized under the plain view doctrine. Okay, so ano yung mga illegal ba in its nature? Per se, meaning it illegal in its nature. Okay, illegal talaga. Tulad na lang sa atin yung drugs. Sabihin natin marijuana. Okay? So meron kayong search warrant. So naka-emphasize doon, hinahanap nyo is barrel. Okay? Na nagamit sa isang crime of murder. Naka-specify doon yung serial number ng barrel. Pero yon, while you are conducting search in that specific place na nakalagay doon. Okay? So you follow the protocol while you were conducting search with that. Meron kang nakita, accidentally nakita mo ang ilang roll ng marijuana, and then sabihin natin suspected shabu. Okay? Suspected na shabu. Ilang paketa ng suspected na shabu. So with that, are you going to take it? Or are you allowed to take it? Okay? Or seize it also? So take note, if you are sure that it is really a marijuana, okay, and then that is really a sachet of a suspected shabu, then you could have it, okay, or you could seize it. So that is under plain view doctrine. Kasi accidentally mo naman siyang nakita, hindi sadya na hindi mo alam na nandun, di ba? Okay, so ang hinahanap naman talaga ninyo is barrel. Pero yun nga, hindi nakalagay sa search warrant yung mga marijuana or shabu na i-seize ninyo. Pero yun nga, under plain view doctrine, that should be seized, and that is also because illegal. That is illegal per se, or illegal in its nature. Okay, and we have here also the validity of search warrant. So the warrant shall be valid only for 10 days. Okay, from the date of issuance. So wag nyo lang isipin na 10 days ha. Tandaan din ninyo. Okay? Maraming pagkakaiba ang 10 days from date of issuance, from date of receipt. Okay, so take note under the validity of search warrant, 10 days from date of issuance. Okay, not date of receipt. Okay, receipt of the officer maybe who will be enforcing the arrest. Okay, so take note, issuance. So automatic pag in-issue na yan ng judge, magka-count na yung 10 days. Okay? And may be served at any day, okay, at any day within the said period. Okay? So thereafter, it shall be void. So 10 days strictly. That is the validity of search warrant. Okay? Pero meron na naman dito. Merong ifs. So if in the implementation of the search warrant, its object or purpose cannot be accomplished in one day. Okay? The search can be continued the following day. Okay? Kasi meron yung mga ganyang situations. Katulad na lang ng plantation ng marijuana. So, kapag kayo ay magsa-search nan, sabihin natin, aakyat kayo ng ilang bundok dyan. So, hindi nyo magagawa yan ng isang araw lang. Okay? So, kailangan yung mag-travel or puntahan yan by foot. Okay? You are going to search it by foot. Or maybe by helicopter. Then, with that, maybe mapapaikli nyo yung araw ng pag-search ninyo. Pero usually, searching in those kind of terrain, okay, is needed not only one day, but it may be 2 days or more than 2 days. Okay? So, ang gagawin dyan, pwede namang continuous dyan. So, 1 day, then maybe it continued the following day or days until completed. So provided pa rin it is still within the 10-day validity period of the search warrant. Okay, so that is how strict the general rule or the validity of the search warrant. Another here, if the object or purpose of search warrant cannot be accomplished within 10 days validity period. So sabi dyan, the police officer conducting the search must file. So what is he going to file? Before the issuing court. Okay, so hindi sa basta-bastang court na ipa-file yan ha. Take note, it should be the court that issued the search warrant mismo. An application for extension of the validity period of the said search warrant. Okay, so there is the discretion still of the issuing court or the judge with regards to the extension of the validity. So with that, those are the things that you should know about the validity of search warrant. Okay, and then time of search. So it says here the warrant should be served during daytime. Okay, general rule, during daytime only. But unless there is a provision in the warrant allowing service at any time of the day or night. So kung gusto nyong i-serve yan at any time of the day or night, then you should, the judge should have it or place it in the provision of the warrant or search warrant. Okay? So, in comparison with the warrant of arrest, at any automatic yan, at any time of the day, pwede nyo enforce yung warrant of arrest. Pero itong search warrant, general rule, during daytime only. Unless merong provision dyan na pwedeng gabi at araw. Okay? So, we have here the prohibited acts in the conduct of the search by virtue of search warrant. Okay? So, it says here, houses, rooms, or other premises shall not be searched. Okay, take note. Except in the presence. Ito ha. Take note of it if you are going to conduct search. This is the guidelines that is emphasized in the Pnp Operational Manual also. And it is needed to be followed strictly para iwas technicality sa court. Okay, so take note. In the present. So, it should be in the presence of a lawful occupant. So, sino yung mga yun? Okay? Member of the family. So, any of the member of the family. Or in the absence of the latter, in the presence of two witnesses of sufficient age. Take note, it should be of sufficient age. So, ano yung sufficient age? So, maybe, ang meron dito to best exemplify that is should be on the age of maturity. So, nandyan 18 years old. Okay, and above. Okay, and discretion residing in the same locality. So, hindi ibig sabihin na meron naman yung baby nila. Present naman sila nung nag-search kami. Okay? So, take note, hindi naman yun insufficient or he is not having sufficient age with that or sufficient knowledge to have discretion. Ha? So, wag niyong idahilan na kasama naman yung mga bata habang kami nagsusearch. Okay? Take note of this guideline. And then, lawful personal properties. And take note of the number. In the presence of two witnesses. Okay, with two witnesses. Or kahit isang family member. Okay? Kapag walang isang family member, okay, with sufficient age, then you could have at least two witnesses of sufficient age residing in the same locality or kapitbahay nila. Okay? So, take note. Letter B naman, lawful personal properties, papers, and other valuable, not specifically indicated, or particularly described in the search warrant shall not be taken. So, wag na wag ninyong kukunin unless yan ay illegal per se na sinabi natin kanina. Katulad ng mga droga, or illegal drugs, okay, or firearms, or unlicensed firearms. Okay? So, wag na wag ninyong i-violate tong guideline na to. And now, we are going to proceed with anti-illegal drug operations naman. So, another law enforcement operations that are being conducted is anti-illegal drug operations. Okay? So, sino ba yung mga involved dito na law enforcement agency? So, number 1 dyan yung PDEA. Okay? So, if you're going to take a look on the law that was created regarding anti-illegal drugs is the RA 9165, okay, the Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002. But as of now, that was uh, that was also amended. Okay, not yes, amended. Okay, by a certain RA. Okay, nowadays somewhere around year 2012. So if you have time, you can try to research also on that. But as to the law that, or the mother law that created the anti-illegal drug laws here in, anti-illegal drug here in the Philippines is the RA 9165. Okay, 9165, Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002. Okay, so nandyan din, kinreate ng batas na yan yung PDEA. Okay, or the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. So, PDEA is not part of the PNP. It's not part of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, but they are independent. Okay, or they are directly under the Office of the President, also. Okay, or they are under the Dangerous Drug Board. Okay, so meron kasi dito administrative function, nandyan yung Dangerous Drugs Board. So yan din ay created. This is created by the RA 9165 then. Okay, so ito yung na-create ng RA 9165 in charge of administrative, okay, administrative works in relation to anti-illegal drug operations. So, sino yung implementing arm nila? Okay? The implementing arm of the Dangerous Drug Board is the PDEA. Okay? Take note of that. PDEA. Okay? So, siya yung implementing arm. So, parang sa police, sa PNP organization. So, sa taas ng PNP, merong National Police Commission. Okay? The National Police Commission or the NAPOLCOM, they supervise, okay, the PNP police force, especially in administration. Okay? Administrative. And, nandyan din sa taas nila yung DILG. Pero itong PDEA, sa taas niyan, merong Dangerous Drug Board. So, the Dangerous Drug Board, they are in charge of the administrative, or let's say they supervises the PDEA. Okay? And we have here PDEA, they are responsible for efficient and effective enforcement of the provisions of the RA 9165. Okay? And we have here, sabihin natin, sasabihin ba natin na wala nang pakialam ang PNP dahil meron ng PDEA? Okay, so take note, it is not. So the PNP has still authority to conduct anti-illegal drug operations. So if you are going to take a look on the scope of the PNP kasi, scope of the function or objectives of the PNP, one of that is crime prevention. And then illegal drugs or use of illegal drugs, possession of illegal drugs, distribution of illegal drugs, that is a crime. Okay, so with that, cover pa rin yan ng PNP. Yun nga lang, as a general rule, the ones that the main implementer of the RA 9165 is the DDB and then the PDEA. Okay? And parang in support na ang PNP doon. Okay? So, yun nga, merong mga guidelines na dapat sundin ang PNP and PDEA in conducting operations, anti-illegal drug operations. So, titignan natin yan isa-isa. Okay? And then we have here some case. Provided that the case shall eventually be transferred to the PDEA based on the Supreme Court decision. So, meron tayo kasing cases dito na nabanggit. So, if you have time, you can try to read it also. The case of People of the Philippines versus Santa Maria. So, Santa Maria was arrested. Okay, was arrested by PNP police officers. Okay, so he was arrested by the PNP police officers. So, meron kasi dito yung stand. Okay, kasi umabot yan from the lower court, from the RTC until yan ay napunta sa Court of Appeals and then pinaglaban niya hanggang sa Supreme Court. So, just to give a brief background, what happened in that case is that meron yung stand ni Santa Maria. Si parehas talo siya sa RTC, talo siya sa Court of Appeals. And then sa Supreme Court, nilaban niya na sabi niya, hindi naman PDEA yung nanghuli sa kanya. or ang nanghuli sa kanya is PNP personnels. And then parang sinasabi niya, PNP doesn't have the right to arrest him kasi PDEA dapat sila yung nag-a-arrest. I mean, they are the ones who should take charge dun sa case niya, okay, or manghuli sa kanya. Pero ang sabi ng Supreme Court, no. Okay, still natalo pa rin si Santa Maria. So, di ibig sabihin na walang pakialam ang PNP sa anti-illegal drug operations. So, still meron pa rin. Okay? So, yun nga lang, that could be supported with coordination. Okay? Para hindi matulad or hindi mangyari ulit yung parang nangyari sa Quezon City shootout between PNP personnel and PDEA. But we don't know what happened or what is the story of that case or the real story behind that case. Okay? To continue, still on the general policy and guidelines under anti-illegal drug operation, we have here, it says PDEA deputation is no longer necessary or required for the PNP personnel, okay, assigned with anti-drug units. So, PNP is also independent in planning or in the conduct of their own anti-illegal drug operations. Okay, yun nga lang, as we mentioned a while ago, they should have coordination with PDEA also. Okay, and it says also here, the PNP is not prevented from conducting warrantless arrest, especially those persons, okay, who are caught in the act. Okay, yung mga nandyan sa buy-bust operation, yung kinakandak nila na buy-bust operations. Okay, and then sa mga checkpoints, okay, they are caught in the act, okay, possessing illegal drugs or transporting illegal drugs, then they can be arrested warrantless or without, or even though without warrant of arrest. Okay, so that is still permitted under Section 5 Rule 113. Okay, and it is hindi ibig sabihin na walang power ang PNP to arrest violators of RA 9165. So, meron pa din. Okay, hindi lang PDEA. And then we have here, PNP units prior to any anti-drug operations shall as far as practicable. Okay, take note of the word as far as practicable. Kasi meron yung mga cases na hindi talaga practical or hindi po pwede na may report agad-agad or may coordinate agad-agad yung operation nila with the PDEA. Okay? So, as a general rule, dapat yan ay may coordinate with the PDEA. Okay? Para iwas ulit. Katulad ng nangyari doon sa Quezon City shootout between PNP and PDEA. But we don't know. Sabi naman nila, there is coordination between between those two agencies on the conduct of that operation. But why did that such thing still existed? So we don't know the story or the real story behind that case. So as a general rule here in coordination requirements, PNP and PDEA, they should coordinate with each other, or the PNP shall coordinate their operation also with the PDEA. Okay, and ganun din sana dapat yung PDEA. Okay, and we have here, later on, we are going to have the situation wherein hindi talaga practicable. Okay, but tignan muna natin to. What is under Section 86 of the RA 9165? So it says here, in any case, the PNP anti-drug units shall coordinate, okay, or inform the PDEA the anti-drug operation within 24 hours. So, yan yung time limit. Especially kapag meron din silang nahuli, okay? Or meron silang nakumpiskang mga paraphernalias, okay? So, anong gagawin nila? Within 24 hours at the time or the actual time of the custody or actual custody of the suspects or seizure of the said drugs or the paraphernalias, then they should inform the PDEA about it. Kasi, meron yung, instances is that PDEA, they are the ones who are disposing also those illegal drugs. Okay, sila yung nag-inventory niyan. Then they are the ones who will be disposing it. Okay? So, that's why kinakailangan that should be, that the PNP should inform the PDEA about it. Okay? And then we have here, on the case. Okay? Kapag yan ay kasi dadaan na naman yan sa korte. Okay? So the PDEA, I mean the PNP shall be regularly updated also. I mean, the PNP regularly update the PDEA about the status of the case. Okay? And of course, we have here the thing or the word as far as practicable that was mentioned kanina. So means that the prior coordination with the PDEA may be done, practiced, or accomplished as may be feasible or possible to be performed. So paano na lang sabihin natin sa bundok? Okay? Napadpad yung police officers natin sa bundok and then meron silang nakita na plantation ng illegal drugs. Okay, so with that, okay, maire-report ba nila agad-agad yan? May co-coordinate nila agad-agad yan sa PDEA? Sabihin natin they are on foot. So wala silang helicopter. Okay, so they are on foot conducting patrol dyan sa bundok. So that could be medyo sabihin natin, meron ngang radio, meron ngang telephone. Pero sa mga bundok, just imagine sa mga liblib, meron bang signal doon? Is there a signal? Is there a network there? So medyo walang chance or hindi practicable na may coordinate agad yan sa PDEA. So that could be covered or that could be said na hindi nila co-coordinate yan agad-agad. So just take note, as far as practicable, you should coordinate it with the PDEA. Okay? So katulad nito, it was mentioned here. The instances where prior coordination validly is dispensed or hindi na kinakailangan. So in remote places where coordination is not possible. As I've mentioned kanina, sa mga bundok, mga liblib na lugar na walang signal talaga, then that could be the coordination or prior coordination is dispensed. Okay? Pero ngayon nga, if you were not able to have prior coordination with the PDEA, then there should be a post coordination. So pagkatapos ng operation, dun muna co-coordinate with the PDEA or i-inform ang PDEA. Okay, and when coordination will compromise the lives of the police operatives. Okay, informant and witnesses involved in the anti-drug operation. So maybe there are tendencies na involved dito ang discretion ng isang police officer, okay, or let's say a leader of the group. Kasi meron din, okay, sabihin natin yung agencies, maybe they believe there is or their agency has been compromised. So kapag ilalapit nila yan, i-coordinate nila yan sa PDEA, then mangyayari, baka merong leak dyan sa PDEA. Anong mangyayari? Magkakaroon ng failure doon sa operation, or it compromise the operation. Maybe kapag kinoordinate mo, binigay mo yung pangalan ng mga informant mo or witnesses mo with the PDEA, then that could endanger their life. Okay, so with that, maybe coordination is not necessary. Pero yan, dapat ay it is legit or it is proven talaga na the agency is compromised already. So with that, kung wala naman, haka-haka mo lang, then that is not an instance where coordination is validly dispensed. Okay, and when coordination is or will prejudice the apprehension of the drug suspects and confiscation of dangerous drugs and specs, or itong specs na tinatawag nila, it is the controlled precursors. And it was here. Where's our note? Okay. So, eto. This one. Okay. So, controlled precursors. Anong sabi dito? Yes, controlled precursor and essential chemicals. Okay, so that is what we mean by CPEX. So that is a terminology that was used under the RA 9165. Okay, so ito yung mga paraphernalias. Okay, and then others, the things that are used or these chemicals are used in creation of illegal drugs. Okay, and another one, when prior coordination will compromise the entire police operation, as I've mentioned a while ago. Kasi hindi natin alam, maraming bulok din sa PDEA. But I'm not saying na bulok talaga or marami. But as we have heard some news, kung titingnan natin, sabihin natin, agencies or sa bawat agency talaga wala tayong masasabing perfecto or malinis. Meron at merong rotten apple dyan. Okay? So with that, that could be a possible. Pero hindi haka-haka lang to dapat That should be proven or that should be supported with a valid or legal or maybe accurate evidence. Okay? So that could be an instance wherein coordination or prior coordination is not necessary. Another one, in the above instances, as I've mentioned a while ago, if you're not able to have prior coordination with the PDEA, then you should have at least post coordination with the PDEA. Okay? So that is under that slide. Okay, let us now proceed with the handling and custody and disposition of evidence. So the first one in here. So these ones are presented under RA 9165. Okay, so it should be observed the handling and custody and disposition of evidences. Okay, so number one here says apprehending officer or team immediately after seizure and confiscation shall conduct physically inventory the seized controlled precursors and essential chemicals or drug paraphernalia for the illegal drugs. Physically inventory. So, hindi lang yan yung nakikita mo or hindi lang yan yung naririnig mo na sinasabi sa'yo ng kasama mo. You should physically inventory. Hawakan mo, you should maybe touch it. Pero take note, the proper handling pa rin, gloves. Okay? Sa CDI, pinag-aaralan nyo, di ba? So, you should wear gloves, okay, and you are going to physically inventory. Hindi yung kung ano yung sinabi ng kasama mo sa'yo, yun yung ilalagay mo sa inventory mo, no? And it should be supported. So, while you are conducting physical inventory, it should be also photographed. And then not only your action or showing that you are conducting physical inventory about on that confiscated materials, then it should be supported na picturean din yung mga na-seize na chemicals or na-seize na drugs or paraphernalias. So, pakita mo doon, dapat yung dilang umaayon doon sa nilalagay mo sa inventory mo. Okay, so ganun yung hindi lang basta picture ng picture dan. So, dapat lahat ng pagkuha mo ng litrato is meron kang gustong iparating doon. Okay, hindi yung trip mo lang nakuha ka ng kuha. So, yun. Mari, pinicturan mo yan close up para maipakita mo na ganito karami. So, yung bilang 3. So, 3 yung nakikita sa photograph. Okay, or yung size. Okay, size para maipakita mo yung laki niya. Okay, pwede mong samahan ng ruler. Okay, and others. So, those are some tips on how are you going to have photograph on those instances. Okay, so it should be with the presence of the accused. Okay, while you are conducting inventory, dapat nandyan yung kitang-kita ka ng nahuli mo, suspect, okay, na pinangkuhanan mo nung paraphernalias na yun or drugs na yun. Okay, and the persons whom or from whom such items were confiscated. Okay, another one, it should be with the presence of his or her representative or counsel. Okay, or a representative from the media dapat. So, meron tayo yung requisites. So, isa na doon, yung kanina, presence of the accused. Okay, or yung tao kung saan mo na huli yan, yung mga gamit na yan. And number 2, counsel or representative niya. Number 3, representative from the media. Okay, another one, representative from the Department of Justice. Those are some of the requirements. Okay, and any elected public official who shall be required to sign the copies of the inventory and be given a copy thereof. So, yan ay anong purpose niyan? That is to maintain the integrity. Okay, integrity of those confiscated evidences. And that is also one way na may pakita na pag sinunod yan talaga, may papakita ninyo na walang violation sa pag-conduct ng arrest or legit talaga yung kinonduct ninyo na operation. Okay? Kasi kapag na-violate mo yan, ginawa nyo na hindi nyo sinunod yung yung requisites na ito in conducting or in an inventory, then that could be subject to technicality dun sa case in the court. Or sabihin pa nila, kayo ay gumagawa-gawa lang ng kwento. Okay, so with that, kinakailangan yung strictly abide with these provisions under RA 9165. Okay, so those are the 5 things you need to consider in the inventory of those items or seized items. And next one we have here, physical inventory and photograph shall be conducted at the place where the search warrant is served. Okay, hindi hindi mo kukunin, then saglit lang doon ko na sa office pipicturean ito. Okay, or doon ko na i-inventory itong item na to. So, doon mo na mismo i-inventory yan. Okay, doon sa lugar kung saan mo nakumpiskayan or nakita, or doon sa lugar kung saan nakalagay doon sa search warrant. Okay? Huwag mong dalhin sa police station ninyo and doon mo na lang pipicturean. That is a violation of the provisions under RA 9165. Okay? Or, meron din naman pwede dito, or at the nearest police station or at the nearest office of the apprehending officer. So, as much as possible, first, you should have it here. Mas maganda talaga kunan mo sa place where the search warrant is served. Pero, that is not practicable kapag hindi yan practical. Pwede na tong second choice. Okay? To the nearest police station. Pero kung pwede naman dun sa area, dun mismo sa area, then you could try. You could have it physically inventoried and of course photographed. Next one, in case of warrantless seizures, okay, it says here it should be with justifiable grounds. Okay, justifiable grounds. Okay, and as long as the integrity and the evidentiary value of the seized items are properly preserved. So, meron yung nasabi natin kanina, plain view doctrine. Okay, nakita mo talaga na, accidentally mong natagpuan. Okay? Parang ganon. And then, in this will be you should follow also. Syempre, photograph, kung saan mo nakita, inventory, following the protocols as much as possible that was stated a while ago. And then, shall not render. Yan ay hindi may kukonsider as void and invalid with the court. So long as you followed, okay, and that is seized with justifiable grounds, okay, or let's say plain view doctrine and other situations, okay. And with that, photographs of the pieces of evidence, it says here, must be taken upon discovery without moving or altering its position. As I've mentioned a while ago, doon mo picturean mismo. And then including the process of recording the inventory. Yan, habang nagsusulat ka and then ini-inventory, pinapakita sa picture na yun. So, dapat meron kang kasama. Okay? As a group, you should have a photographer. Okay? And recording the inventory in the weighing of dangerous drugs. So, meron kayong scale dapat din. Okay? And with the registered weight of the evidence on the scale focused by the camera. Kaya nga sa team ninyo, sa anti-illegal drug operation team, there should be the one who is in charge in the inventory, and then merong in charge sa custody, merong in charge sa photographing, merong in charge din sa search or handling. Sabihin natin na ganun, okay? So, hindi lang kakayanin yan ng isang tao. Okay, so as an anti-illegal drug operations that is conducted by a group, usually. Okay? And then, dito, malaking talaga ang knowledge mo about photography. Hindi naman sa galing mo kumuha ng magandang litrato, but most important is your way on how you take the photo to show what is going on. Para may kwento mo. Okay? Na pagkita pa lang ng judge or pagkita pa lang ng mga tao dun sa picture mo ay naiintindihan na nila or naniniwala na sila. Okay? So that is a skill that photographer should possess. Okay? Especially in these cases or drug cases. Okay, and then we have here, take note, hindi paggalingan sa pag-edit din dito ang kinakailangan, ha? Okay, paggalingan sa pagkuha ng litrato. And then another one here, seizing officer must mark the evidence with his initials. Especially, ito yung pinaka-importante. The date, the time, and the place where it is, or where does the item was discovered. Okay, and then initial siguro kahit yung first name ng pangalan mo. Okay, just to have or just to identify that evidence. Okay, and then secure and preserve the evidence in a suitable evidence bag or in an appropriate container. Okay, as discussed in your CDI. So, pinaka-common dyan na pwede niyong gamitin, okay, to as an evidence bag is yung paper bag. Okay, kasi kapag sa plastic, usually nagmo-moist yan. Okay, pero meron din yung instances na pwede mong gamitin ziplock, okay, and others, or container, small container. So long as appropriate na hindi madadamage yung integrity or hindi madadamage yung evidence. And then we have here, where the situation requires urgent actions, suspected drug evidence acquired may be field tested. Okay? Using a drug test kit. So, katulad na lang sa droga, sa shabu. Okay, di ba? Hindi lahat ng crystalline-like substance or powder na makikita mo, sasabihin mo na agad yan ay shabu. Okay, so mapapatunayan mo lang yan na shabu kapag yan ay tinest mo. Okay, so with that, kung meron dito, as much as possible you should do, especially if it is it needs an urgent action, so you need to conduct field testing, okay, about that drug. So meron kayo dapat dala-dalang drug test kit. Okay, and then if the result is positive, this will be basis of the seizure in the conduct of further drug analysis. So yun pala, paano kung lumabas sa test mo, yan pala ay pulbos lang, okay, or powder, or baby baby powder, okay, or sabihin natin gatas lang pala yan. So that is not subject for seizure already. Kasi yan naman ay hindi illegal drugs. Okay, pero yan ay pag positive, then that would be subjected to seizure. Okay, and then we have here, within 24 hours upon confiscation or seizure, it shall be submitted to the PNP Crime Laboratory for laboratory examination and proper disposition. Take note of the time. So if you're not able to follow that time, then that is violation under provisions of RA 9165. Okay, take note of the lifespans. Okay, that is to avoid. Okay, kapag hindi na fina-follow to, it will or it might be used in the court, or maybe your opponent, okay, or the other party dun sa court, okay, na find out nila bakit ganito yung custody, okay, or transfer or transport ng confiscated paraphernalias. It's more than 48 hours. Sa batas natin, 24 hours. So, magdududa na sila doon na parang may nangyaring contamination sa evidence. So, pwedeng mabaliktad yung kaso, or pwedeng ma-dismiss or ma-technical kayo doon sa kaso. So, that to avoid those kind of situation, you should strictly abide with the provisions under RA 9165. And then another one here, containers, packaging, equipment, etc. suspected of containing trace amounts of drugs, including controlled precursors or essential chemicals, or yung SEPEX na tinawag natin kanina, will be considered drug evidence and shall be submitted for analysis. So, hindi ibig sabihin yan na plastic bottle yan. Sabihin natin, plastic bottle lang na nandun. Okay? Kasama nung sinis mo na drug. Okay? Sa tabi niya, merong plastic bottle, and then meron pang nakitang marks ng mga suspected drug substances. So, pwede mong isis din yan. Okay? That could be also used as an evidence. So, pwede yung mga yun. So, wag niyong baliwalain yung mga nandun sa background. Okay? Sa paligid ng mga items na nasisi niyo. Kasi baka yan, pwede niyong magamit. It can be served as an evidence also. Okay? So, you could have it submitted for more examination or analysis. Okay? And then we have here the next one. It says here, in every negotiation operation. So, it's still under handling and custody and disposition of evidence. Okay? seizing officer. So there should be a seizing officer. So responsible for the inventory and initial custody of all drug and non-drug evidence during the anti-drug operation. So that is the role of a seizing officer. So anong gagawin yan? Anong gagawin niya later on? So that will be turned over yung mga nakuha niya after having inventory and then having seizing those illegal drugs or materials, then that would be turned over to the investigation officer or any member of the apprehending team as the case may be, or to the crime laboratory for proper examination and disposition. Okay, so with that, it should be or they should have here the chain of custody form. So para matrace natin kung sino yung unang kumuha niyan. Okay, and then itong chain of custody mapapatunayan niya or mami-maintain niya yung integrity ng evidence na na-recover natin. So without chain custody form or without having this chain of custody form, that could be subject to suspicious, okay, or maybe suspicious things that might be encountered or that might be think upon by the, let's say, the judge or let's say the other party. Okay, and then we have here, take note also that certification of forensic laboratory examination results that is given or that is issued, it should be within 24 hours upon or after the receipt of the subject items. Okay, so dun na magbibilang upon receipt of the subject items from the let's say the seizing officer. Okay, and then meron yung instances na napakarami ng evidences, okay, na na-turn over. So hindi kakayanin within 24 hours na mag-examine nun. So with that, ano na yung isasubmit ng isang laboratory custodian, okay, or laboratory examiner? So pwede niyang i-submit muna ay ito, partial laboratory examination report. Pero as the case, as much as possible, certification of the forensic laboratory examination result, it should be given within 24 hours. Pero kung hindi kaya, partial laboratory examination report, yan ay isasubmit niya within 24 hours. And then, itutuloy niya the other day. And then, at kapag natapos niya yon, final certification shall be issued on the complete forensics laboratory examination. Okay? So, within the next 24 hour. So, yun yung palugit ulit. Okay? So, with that, that is the protocol under this, under the certification of examination. Okay? So, kinakailangan din yan na submit within 24 hours. Alright. And next one here, we have, okay, so these are some of the things or the programs that was implemented by the PNP, okay, or enforced by the PNP during the time that was President Rodrigo Duterte was elected as the new president. Okay, so meron tayo yung tinatawag na Uplan Tokhang. So for those mga Bisaya dyan, so I think you are aware of it, or you know really what is the meaning of Tokhang. Okay, so it says here, as to the definition that we have, it says it is a Visayan word that means to approach and talk. So ano yung ginagawa ng PNP personnels natin dito? So pinupuntahan, okay, di ba? They are going to, so yung main target talaga nila dito is the drug users. Okay, drug users. So pupuntahan nila, okay, yung mga they are those who are believed are users of drugs, and then they talk with them. Okay, so they are going to encourage them to stop the use of those illegal drugs, or pwede silang ipunta sa rehabilitation or drug rehabilitation centers. Kaya during those times, medyo dumami yung mga drug users na nandun sa kulungan, and meron din yung mga napunta sa mga drug rehabilitation centers. Okay, so that is the program of Uplan Tokhang. So take note, their targets are drug users. And then dito naman sa Uplan Double Barrel, and then meron din yung tinawag nila as Double Barrel Alpha. So sa Uplan Double Barrel kasi, their targets are the distributors. Okay, dito naman yung mga distributors ng mga or mga sellers ng mga illegal drugs. Pero sa double barrel o plan double barrel, ang target nila dito is yung mga nasa baba, okay, na sellers or distributors. Pero sa double barrel alpha, okay, or meron din yung tinawag nila double barrel reloaded, okay, kasi yun nga na-stop, okay, because of the issues of the extrajudicial killings. Pero binalik kaya reloaded, sabi nila noon. Pero dito sa double barrel alpha, ang target naman nila dyan is yung, sabi nila, big fish, okay, yung mas matataas. Okay, sila yung talagang supplier, okay, ng droga. So yan yung pagkakaiba nung dalawa. But their targets are yung mga sellers talaga ng illegal drugs. That is in comparison with Oplan Tokhang. And then you are going to encounter also, so maybe you can try to have this or subject sa research ninyo. But I think especially third years, okay, or maybe when you have your thesis, maybe you can try to have this as one of your topic, BADAC, okay, the Barangay Anti-Drug Abuse Council of each barangay or in your barangay. Okay, so meron yung tinatawag nilang BADAC, MADAC, HADAC, okay, so ano ba yung role niyan? Okay, kasi ngayon in the anti-illegal drug operations, hindi lang PNP and PDEA ang involved dyan. So, meron nang pakisama ang ating barangay dyan. Okay, so anong gagawin nila? They shall render assistance to the law enforcement agencies, okay, in eradication and clearing operations of illegal drugs. So, dito kasi sa BADAC, sa kanila din nanggagaling yung whitelist. Okay? So, ano yung content ng whitelist? Okay, so ito yung mga tao, they believe. Kasi ang barangay, mas kilala nila yung mga tao na nasasakupan nila. Okay, so with that, sila manggagaling sa kanila yung whitelist, yung listahan ng mga tao. They believe that users of drugs. Okay, and then mamaya, yan ay i-verify ng MADAC, okay, i-verify ng CADAC, and then i-verify din ng PNP. And then after na napatunayan, na verify nila that they are really users of drugs, then that's the time they can be enlisted dun sa target list naman. Okay, so una, white list, and then pangalawa dyan, target list. Target list, sila talaga yung proven that are users of drugs. So that is, pupuntahan nila, they are going to enforce Oplan Tokhang. Okay, and then yan yung role ng BADAC. Pero ano naman yung CADAC? Okay, parehas din naman yung role, shall render assistance. Yun nga lang, CADAC or MADAC stands for So sa CADAC, it stands for City Anti-Drug Abuse Council, and MADAC stands for Municipal Anti-Drug Abuse Council. Okay? So please take note of those. And then we have here, again, as we have said a while ago, what is DDB? So DDB stands for Dangerous Drug Board. So this was created under RA 9165. Yes, we have mentioned a while ago. And what is its implementing arm? So take note, the implementing arm of the DDB is the PDEA. So, huwag nyo sanang makakalimutan yan. So, the law that created this board and this implementing arm or its implementing arm is RA 9165. So, they are in charge. So, one of the role of the DDB is to formulate, develop, and establish comprehensive and integrated, unified, balanced national drug use prevention and control strategy. So they are also in charge supervising the PDEA or their implementing arm. Okay, so that is all about anti-illegal drug operation.